Hey guys, welcome to another lesson where you are actually not going to see me very much. So this lesson is about the crops of South America. Now crops are things that farmers grow for people to eat. Things are grown all over the world, and South America has quite a bounty of different things that grow there. So these are not all of them, but these are a few highlights of things that grow there. As you can see, my dog thought we were having a picnic, so he's here to join. I know that the rug is hard to see anyway in this video, so it's not super important. I will later post a picture of just the rug, and I will be holding up some of these things for you guys to see. So one of the things that actually, and I maybe shouldn't do this one first because it is actually probably to me the most interesting. One of the things that grows in South America is a peanut plant. So peanuts, which look like this, as you see, and as Hank sees, peanuts grow in South America. Now, the plant, if I show you a picture of the plant, here's a picture, and here's the label if we were at school, right? This is a peanut plant. Now, there's no way to really tell that this is peanuts, because here's the interesting thing about peanuts. They actually grow underground. So what happens is, looks something like this. So as you can see, the stem, here are leaves, right? Most plants, actually all plants have leaves. The flowers of a peanut plant, for the most part, are yellow. So these are the little flowers. And what happens is when the flower dies, it actually shoots this little thing down. And that thing is called a peg. And from the peg is actually where the peanut begins to grow, but it grows underground. And I will actually attach, or next to this lesson, I will post a video of a real peanut plant. You can't, of course, see underground, which is unfortunate because that would be kind of cool, but it'll be a lady explaining, and she'll show you she'll show you the way the peg looks. In my picture, my picture is actually a little inaccurate because it makes it look like they're curvy. They're more sort of pointy, almost like a stilt or prop root, if you guys remember from your other South America botany lesson. So that is a peanut plant. And actually, you could have your piece of paper out as you're watching. You guys all have a paper that looks like this. Oop, upside down. It looks like this in your packet. And, nope, I was right the first time. And it's called Crops from South America, and it has the list of the things we're going to be talking about. And number 1 says, what part of the peanut plant do you eat? Where does it grow? So the part of the peanut plant you eat grows under the ground, as we talked about. And actually, the part that you eat is the seed. So inside of these beautiful shells, and here comes Hank because he thinks it's snack time. Inside of these beautiful shells, there are seeds. You probably all have eaten peanuts at a baseball game, and that is actually the part of the peanut plant we eat. So, hey. Okay. And then next, number 2, we're going to talk about corn. Now, I actually went to the store to buy peanuts and quinoa and forgot that I actually should have had an ear of corn. So all I've got for you guys is this steam fresh bag of corn. And what would be inside here are the little yellow corn kernels. That's actually the seed of the plant. So the plant of corn looks like this. And off of it are, well, actually it's hard to see in this picture, but the thing that the corn comes in, right, if you've seen an ear of corn, it comes in a thing called a husk, and that's sort of the outer container of the corn. And then you'll notice and I really wish I had a picture. The little, I'm doing this with my fingers, the little wispy things that come off of the corn, they're sort of fine. Those are actually called silk. And you might remember from parts of the plant soup, sort of whoever was husking the corn was peeling off the husk and discarding the silk. So the part of the corn that we actually eat is the seed as well. And the seed, so actually it comes off of the plant here above the ground. And next, and likely this is a lot of people's favorite, is the cacao plant. Now, you'll notice with the spelling, it is C-A-C-A-O. That is on purpose. It is called a cacao plant. A lot of times we call hot chocolate hot cocoa, and that is C-O-C-O-A. So it's sort of exchanging the O's for A's, but it is actually called a cacao plant. And yes, chocolate is a plant. It does not grow on a tree in this form. So this is dark chocolate. 70% cocoa means there's not a lot of sugar added. And I'm not going to open this. Well, it is open. I've eaten some, right? Of course I have. But this kind of chocolate actually comes, believe it or not, from a tree. And the fruit of the tree is this sort of orange thing. And inside of that orange fruit, and I apologize that you can't see me for most of this lesson, it's just that I'm not the most important part. Inside of that fruit are the cocoa beans. They're actually, so it's almost multi-layered. So you've got the outer skin, and then there's a pod, and then the cocoa beans are found inside the pod. And there's this this darkened layer is actually the outer covering. So the cocoa bean is inside this covering. So what the tree looks like on the outside are these weird orange fruits, but from that is actually where we get chocolate. And I think I got distracted, but I was explaining to you guys dark chocolate. What this means is it's just not as sweetened with milk and sugar. So if you tasted it, it wouldn't taste really like a Hershey bar. So that is our cacao plant. And I'm going to clip it to the top. And now you're no longer going to see that it's the crops of South America, but you know that already. And next, it's so if you're looking at your sheet, I'm kind of going in order. Number 4, draw a picture of the plant used to make coffee. So coffee does not grow on a tree exactly in the form that we see it. So when I go to make coffee in the morning, I take it out of this little jar, and it almost looks like chocolate powder. It smells delicious, and here's a scoop, but that's not how it comes. And I think some of you have heard the story of how my brother ate a spoonful of ground coffee because he thought it was chocolate powder, sort of like how you would make chocolate milk, but that is made from the coffee beans. Now, here is just a bag of coffee, and I buy the coffee already ground because I don't grind it myself, but you can buy what's called whole bean coffee, and what whole bean coffee, it just looks like a little seed. And then sometimes people grind it themselves, or at the store they'll actually grind it. But here's the plant that grows coffee, which is interesting because if you looked at this, it almost looks like grapes or berries, but this is actually the coffee plant. And it looks like this. So on the tree you would actually see these red fruits. And in the picture I gave you, they are mostly red. I guess some of them you can see are a little yellow. That just means they're not ripe yet. So when it is ripe and ready to be seeded as coffee, it will actually turn red. So first they look green, then they appear yellow, and finally red. Sort of like a banana, right? So we're going to move on to the next plant, which is, or the next crop, which is banana. Now these are kind of green. Then some people like them when they're kind of green. right? But when they are ripe and ready to be eaten, generally they look more yellow in color. So a coffee plant is similar in that it starts green and goes to yellow. It just has then a third color, which is red. Let's see, what haven't we talked about? Oh, so the picture of the plant used to make coffee just looks like this. And I asked you a trick question. What part of the cacao plant is used to make chocolate? So it's actually the bean, which is inside the pod, which has an outer covering. So let's see, what haven't I showed you a picture of? Oh! Here is, we just talked about banana. This is a little hard to see, but here is what it looks like, a banana tree. And they actually grow in clusters, sort of how you would buy them at the store. Then we've got our beautiful pineapple. Now, when I picked this up to move it for the lesson, part of the stem actually came off, so I'm not going to move it. You can see that beautiful pineapple over there. And here is the plant that it actually grows on in the wild, which is a cool thing. And the part of the pineapple that we eat is the fruit. Let's see. Okay, I've got this picture. Now, these look like beautiful purple flowers. This actually is a potato plant. And most of you probably already know that potatoes grow under the ground. So actually, a potato sort of grows in the stem. It does grow underground. It's not quite like a peanut, but almost looks like this. So a potato grows underground in the stem. It's called a tuber. So this on the outside is what a flowering potato plant looks like, but actually grows underground in the stem, and it's called a tuber. And this one, which is my favorite, because it's a funny word, because you pronounce it not like, it's not phonetic at all. So if you looked at this, you would think it says quinoa, but it's actually pronounced quinoa. And this is the seed of the quinoa. Now, I actually lost the beautiful photograph I have of quinoa, but when it grows, it almost looks like wheat, and the little flowers you see are red or purple in color. I would encourage you go ahead and look up a picture of what quinoa looks like growing in the wild. But these little guys are seeds, and you actually cook it a lot, pretty similar to how you cook rice. It actually tastes really similar to rice, but quinoa is another plant that grows in South America. Now, the interesting thing is it's I think typically classified as a grain, but quinoa actually is really good because it has a lot of protein. So ancient people actually ate a lot of quinoa because it has protein, which is sustaining for energy. So if they weren't eating meat, they could grow a plant that had a lot of protein. And vegetarians and vegans, people that don't eat meat, actually oftentimes will eat quinoa because it has that protein that they need. So, bonus points if you know why I was writing in pink for this lesson. And looking at your sheet, number 5. Now, this is the sort of thing that I wish we were in school for. It says, write the names of the foods. Circle the foods you have consumed. That means the ones you have eaten before. Underline the foods that you tried for the first time at school. So if we were at school, we would be trying some of these foods. Probably not coffee, because your parents would not want me to make you hyper. But the ones that you've had before, and so of course you've had chocolate before, so you could circle that. It does not mean you can't try the chocolate at school. So circle the foods you have consumed. Underline the foods that you tried for the first time at school. So in this case, since we're not at school, I just want you to write all the names of the foods and then circle the ones you've had before. And then number 6, put a number next to the foods written above in the order from the one you like best to the one you like least. So of course, you can't say you like something the least if you haven't tried it. So if you have never eaten quinoa, you're not allowed to give it a number 6. So just label it label the numbers of the ones you've tried. Okay? So I think if I was doing this, I would pick coffee first. And then probably pineapple. Something like that. So only label the ones you've tried. And last but not least, in your packet, you've got a map that looks like this, which is unlabeled. You are going to give this map a title, Crops of South America. And then I am also going to post a link that has some information about where some of these things grow. So you are going to actually make your own map. Now, this is not exactly the same, and my map actually is a mistake because I should have given it a title which says Crops of South America, and I sort of shaded the areas in which each thing grows. You guys are going to do the same on your map. So I will either post a picture of this exact map, or I will send you a link to another map. Now, one of the maps that I found is really cool. It's actually a map of the whole world and where the foods we eat come from. So it's not going to have all of these exact crops, but it will have some of them. And the cool thing about that map is it has actually a little teeny tiny picture of corn and then a little teeny tiny picture of a pineapple. And that would be a really cool way to do this map also. I just actually didn't do mine like that, but that might be a fun thing to do, is in your key, maybe use actual little pictures of foods as the symbols. So this map, I'm actually going to share the clip, the coffee plants clip. And I will say thank you for joining me, and when we are back at school, we'll try some of these things. Bye!